everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're taking a close look at a section of a biology textbook today.
Oh, nice.
It's Chapter 6,
Okay.
from Anatomy of Flowering Plants.
That's good.
Now we're going to be exploring plant tissues and their organization.
Awesome.
Getting up close and personal with how stems and roots and leaves actually work.
I love it.
And we'll definitely be checking out those microscopic superstars, monocots and dicots.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
So get ready for some serious plant appreciation today.
I'm all about that. It's amazing how often we overlook the complexity hidden within these seemingly simple organisms.
All right. Cool.
It's a whole world of intricate structures and adaptations happening right under our noses.
Okay, so the chapter starts off talking about plant tissue systems.
Okay.
And they even use this analogy of building blocks, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. Plants aren't just random blobs of green,
Right.
They're incredibly organized. Think of tissues as like teams of specialized cells, each with their own specific job to do.
Okay, I like that.
So you've got your epidermal tissue, kind of like the plant's outer skin,
Okay.
shielding it from the elements.
Protects me.
Exactly. Then there's ground tissue, like the workhorse of the plant, responsible for everything from photosynthesis to storing nutrients.
These little cells.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then we can't forget about vascular tissue.
The transport system.
Yes, like the plant's internal highway system.
I'm picturing tiny little plant cells just bustling around, each with their designated task.
I love that image. It really is like a bustling city, all these different systems working together seamlessly.
So tell me more about this epidermal tissue.
Well,
What
yeah.
makes it so special?
Well, it's the first line of defense against the outside world.
Makes sense.
It's constantly exposed to all sorts of harsh conditions, sun, wind, rain,
Yeah.
you name it. So it's got to be tough.
Like plant's suit of armor.
Exactly.
Huh.
Plus, it's got this amazing adaptation called the cuticle. It's a waxy coating that helps prevent water loss.
So like a plant's raincoat.
Basically. It's pretty cool, huh?
That's awesome. What about this hard-working ground tissue? What's going on in there?
Oh, it's a diverse crew for sure. You've got your parenchyma cells, the most common type.
Okay.
They're like the general laborers of the plant world, handling
Right.
tasks like photosynthesis and food storage.
Keeping everything running.
Yep. Then there are parenchyma cells.
Got it.
They provide flexible support, especially in young, growing parts of the plant.
So they help the plant reach for the sky.
Yes. Think of them as the scaffolding.
I like it.
And then lastly, you've got sclerenchyma cells.
Okay.
They offer more rigid support, like the steel beams of a plant.
Giving it strength.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially to those mature tissues like seed coats or tough fibers.
Wow, it's like a whole construction site going on in there
I know, right?
with all these different teams specialized in their craft.
It's incredible.
And finally, we've got the vascular tissue.
Yes, the transportation system.
I always think it's so fascinating how water and nutrients are just zipping around inside a plant.
Oh, it's a marvel of engineering.
Yeah.
Xylem is the water superhighway.
Okay.
It pulls water and minerals up from the roots.
Up to the rest of the plant.
Exactly. It's constantly working against gravity, too.
That's impressive.
It really is. And then there's phloem.
The food delivery system,
Exactly. Phloem is responsible for transporting sugars.
which are produced during photosynthesis.
Yes. So it makes sure those energy packets reach every growing cell.
Wow, it's like this perfectly choreographed dance happening inside the plant.
I love that.
But let's get down to the roots of things, literally. The chapter dives into root structure next.
Okay, roots.
And I'm curious about those differences between monocots and dicots,
Ah, yes, the root systems. Well,
Mhm.
they're like the foundation of the plant, right?
anchoring into the ground.
Exactly. And absorbing all that water and those nutrients from the soil.
So important.
Crucial. So let's picture a typical dicot root.
Okay.
Like we're looking at a cross section. The outermost layer is the epidermis.
Just like in the stem and leaves.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here in the root, it has a special name, the epiblema.
Fancy name.
I know, right? But it's essentially the same type of tissue.
Okay.
And a lot of these cells have these tiny finger-like extensions called root hairs.
Root hairs.
Yeah. They dramatically increase the surface area for absorption.
Smart move. More surface area, more absorption.
Right. It's like millions of tiny fingers reaching out into the soil, grabbing every bit of water and nutrient they can.
So what's next as we journey deeper into the root?
All right, so moving inward, we encounter the cortex,
Okay.
which is a region packed with those parenchyma cells we talked about.
The general laborer.
Yes, they're busy storing all the good stuff the root absorbs.
Makes sense.
And then comes a crucial checkpoint, the endodermis.
Oh, yeah, the textbook mentioned these Casparian strips in the endodermis.
Yes, they're like a highly selective bouncer standing guard at a nightclub.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
They're these waterproof strips that force water and minerals to pass through the endodermis cell membranes.
Okay, so it's controlled entry.
Very controlled. No unwanted substances getting into the VIP area.
The plant's got to protect itself.
For sure. And then beyond the endodermis, we find the pericycle.
Pericycle.
Yeah, it's a layer of cells where lateral roots can emerge.
So like branch roots.
Exactly. It's how the plant expands its reach underground.
Makes sense.
And then we hit the vascular cylinder, the heart of the root's transportation system.
Okay.
Here, the xylem and phloem are arranged in this beautiful radial pattern.
Nice.
With the xylem at the core and the phloem surrounding it.
It's amazing how everything fits together so perfectly.
It really is, but hold on, because what about those monocot roots? How do they compare?
Right. They always like to do things a little differently.
They do. Monocot roots follow a similar blueprint, but with a twist.
Okay, a twist.
They have the same basic layers, but their vascular bundles are arranged differently.
How so?
Well, instead of a central core, they form a ring with a pith in the middle.
A pith.
Yeah, it's like a central region.
I see.
So imagine a donut.
A donut.
And the vascular bundles are the doughy ring, and the pith is the hole in the center.
So it's like a ring versus a core.
Exactly.
Interesting. Is there a reason for this difference?
Well, it's all about adapting to different environments and needs, you know?
Yeah.
So the central xylem core in dicots, it provides a more direct pathway for water transport.
Okay, like a straight shot up the middle.
Exactly, which can be really advantageous in environments where water is readily available.
Makes sense.
But monocots, on the other hand, they often thrive in environments with fluctuating water availability.
Okay.
So their ring-like arrangement of vascular bundles might offer more flexibility and resilience.
So they can access water from a wider area.
Exactly.
So it's like having multiple backup systems.
I like how you think.
In case one part of the root system hits some dry soil. It's incredible how these seemingly subtle structural differences can have such significant impacts on a plant's survival.
It really is. It all boils down to form and function.
Right.
You know, plants have evolved over millions of years to optimize their structures for their specific lifestyles and habitats.
So cool.
Speaking of structure, shall we move on to stems?
Let's do it. Stems are like the backbone of the plant holding everything up.
They are. And they also act as the main highway for transporting water minerals and sugars.
Between the roots and leaves.
Exactly.
So I'm eager to hear more about those structural differences between monocots and dicots in their stems.
Okay, well, let's compare a dicot stem and a monocot stem side by side.
Okay.
One of the first things you'll notice is the arrangement of vascular bundles.
Okay. Vascular bundles.
Dicot stems typically have a distinct ring of these bundles.
A ring.
Yeah, encircling a central pith.
Okay.
It's like if you look down at a slice of cucumber.
Classic dicot stem.
Exactly.
So what about monocot stems? How do they hold everything together?
Well, monocots take a different approach.
Okay.
Their vascular bundles are scattered throughout the stem.
Scattered?
Yeah, like tiny islands in a sea of ground tissue.
Interesting. So it's more dispersed.
It is. Think of a cornstalk.
Okay, cornstalk.
It's strong and flexible, but you won't see that distinct ring of vascular bundles.
So is there an advantage to that kind of scattered arrangement?
Well, there are trade-offs, as with everything in nature.
Sure.
So the ring arrangement in dicot stems, it often provides greater structural support,
Okay.
allowing them to grow taller and sturdier.
Yeah, think of those massive oak trees.
Exactly. Those strong woody stems are a testament to that well-organized vascular system.
Incredible. But what about monocots? They don't seem to have any trouble reaching for the sky either.
You're right. While they might not reach the towering heights of some dicots,
Yeah.
their scattered bundles allow for incredible flexibility.
Okay, flexibility.
Think of a field of weight swaying in the wind. Those stems can bend and twist without breaking, thanks to their decentralized vascular system.
So it's like having a network of smaller interconnected supports rather than relying on a single central column.
Exactly.
Makes sense. It's all about adapting to different environments and lifestyles.
Absolutely.
The chapter mentions something called medullary rays in dicot stems.
Oh, yes, medullary rays.
What are those all about?
They're like the side streets connecting the main avenues of the plant's vascular system.
Okay, so like capillaries.
Yes. Imagine them as thin sheets of parenchyma cells
Okay,
radiating outwards from the pith towards the cortex.
got it.
They provide additional support, and they also help move water and nutrients laterally.
Between the vascular bundles?
Yes, and the surrounding tissues.
So it's like a network of back roads to ensure efficient transport.
Precisely.
This is all so fascinating.
It is. And we're only just scratching the surface of plant anatomy.
I know.
But for now, let's shift our focus to the stars of the show, the leaves.
Yes. They're not just pretty faces. They're the powerhouses of photosynthesis.
Absolutely. Capturing sunlight and converting it into the energy that fuels life on Earth.
Like nature's solar panels.
I love that.
So I'm ready to hear more about their structure, especially how it helps them capture all that sunlight.
Okay, well, leaves are truly remarkable.
Yeah.
Let's start by imagining a typical dicot leaf.
All right, dicot leaf.
It's got these distinct layers, each with its own role to play.
Okay.
So the upper and lower surfaces are covered by the epidermis.
Just like in the stem and root.
Exactly. Providing protection and helping prevent water loss.
Important jobs.
But here's the cool part. The epidermis also contains these tiny pores called stomata.
Stomata. Those are like the leaf's breathing holes, right?
Yes, they regulate gas exchange.
So carbon dioxide can enter for photosynthesis.
Exactly. And oxygen can escape.
It's like the leaf is constantly breathing.
It really is, taking in what it needs and releasing what it doesn't.
So what's going on between those epidermal layers?
Well, between those layers lies the mesophyll, the heart of photosynthesis.
Okay.
And it's divided into two distinct regions, the palisade mesophyll and the spongy mesophyll.
Okay. Two different types.
Yep. So the palisade mesophyll sits just beneath the upper epidermis.
Okay.
And it's packed with these tightly arranged column-shaped cells filled with chloroplasts, those tiny green organelles responsible for capturing light energy.
So it's like the leaf is maximizing its surface area to catch those rays of sunlight.
Exactly. And then you've got the spongy mesophyll located below the palisade layer, and it's more loosely arranged.
So more space between the cells.
Yeah. And the structure promotes gas exchange, you know.
So the carbon dioxide can reach those palisade cells.
Exactly. And oxygen can escape.
So it's like the leaf's internal ventilation system.
I like that. Ensuring a constant flow of fresh air.
That's really cool. And what about those veins we see running through the leaves? What are they doing?
Those veins are the leaf's vascular bundles, you know?
Containing the xylem and phloem.
Yes. They act like a network of highways, transporting water and minerals to the mesophyll cells.
And carrying away the sugars produced during photosynthesis.
Exactly. They also provide structural support. Yeah.
Keeping the leaf spread out.
Yes, like the ribs of an umbrella.
It's amazing how everything is connected and working together within the leaf.
It really is. But I can't help but wonder about those monocot leaves.
Yeah. Are they following the same blueprint?
Monocots always got to shake things up, right?
I know.
They do have the same basic components, you know.
Epidermis, mesophyll, vascular bundles.
Yep. But their arrangement is a bit different.
In what way?
Well, in monocot leaves, like those of grasses, the mesophyll isn't clearly divided into palisade and spongy layers. It's more uniform throughout.
So it's a more simplified structure compared to the dicot leaves.
Yeah, you could say that.
Does that mean they're not as efficient at photosynthesis?
Not necessarily. It's all about adaptation, remember?
Right, right.
The textbook mentioned these specialized cells called bulliform cells in monocot leaves.
Okay, I remember those.
They're located on the upper surface of the leaf.
Okay.
And they're like tiny water balloons.
Interesting.
So when they're full of water, they make the leaf stand upright.
Okay.
Maximizing its exposure to sunlight.
Smart.
But when water is scarce, they deflate.
Okay.
Which causes the leaf to fold or roll inward, reducing water loss.
It's like the leaf has its own built-in system for conserving water.
Exactly. They're pretty amazing, those bulliform cells.
That is brilliant. It's like the leaf is actively adjusting its shape.
It is.
To optimize its performance based on the environment.
Exactly. You know, monocots have evolved these ingenious mechanisms to thrive in environments with fluctuating water availability.
Makes sense.
So while their leaves might not have the same photosynthetic efficiency as dicots under ideal conditions, their adaptability gives them a competitive edge when things get tough.
That's so cool.
It is.
It's like we've been on a microscopic safari today.
I know, right?
Exploring this hidden world of plants.
It's amazing what's happening at that level.
We've seen how different tissues work together to form these organs and how those organs vary between monocots and dicots.
And each with its own unique set of adaptations.
It's mind-blowing.
It is amazing. And honestly, we've only just scratched the surface.
Believe it.
There's so much more to discover about this intricate world of plant anatomy.
I know. I can't wait to learn more. But for now, I think we need to take a short break.
Okay.
And let all this amazing information sink in.
Sounds good. We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the world of flowering plants.
Awesome.
Welcome back, everyone. We're ready to dive even deeper into Chapter 6.
I'm excited.
I think you'll find this next section especially fascinating.
Okay, good.
We've laid the groundwork, understanding plant tissues and the basic anatomy of roots and stems.
Right, we've got our plant anatomy decoder rings on.
I love it.
Ready to compare how these structures differ between monocots and dicots.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's start by revisiting those underground wonders roots. Remember, both monocots and dicots have roots with the same basic tissue layers.
Okay.
Epidermis cortex, endodermis pericycle, and vascular tissue.
Right.
But it's the arrangement and proportions of these tissues that make them unique.
Right. And I remember those Casparian strips in the endodermis.
Yes.
Like a club bouncer controlling what gets in.
It's the best analogy.
But the textbook also emphasized those differences in the vascular bundles.
Yes, that's key.
Can we unpack that a bit more?
Absolutely. So dicots typically have xylem forming a solid core in the center of the root,
Okay.
often in a star-like shape, with the phloem nestled between the arms of the star. Think of it like a wagon wheel,
A wagon wheel. Okay.
with the xylem as the strong hub and the phloem as the spokes radiating outwards.
Okay, that's a great visual.
Good.
So how do those monocot roots handle this?
Monocots got to be different, right?
Right.
Their vascular bundles tend to be arranged in a ring
A ring, okay?
with a central pith in the middle.
Like a donut.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly like a donut. The xylem and phloem form that delicious doughy ring,
Yeah.
and the pith is the hole in the center.
So it's a ring versus a core.
Exactly.
Does this difference actually impact how they function?
Oh, absolutely. These variations reflect different strategies for water and nutrient transport.
Okay, how so?
Well, dicots, with their central xylem core,
Uh-huh.
they have a more direct pathway for water to flow from the soil upwards.
Okay, so it's efficient.
Very efficient. It's like having a super highway straight up the middle.
Makes sense for those tall, sturdy dicots.
Right. But then how does that ring arrangement work for the monocots?
Yeah, how do they manage?
Well, while it might not seem as straightforward,
Yeah.
the ring arrangement in monocots can actually be more flexible and resilient.
Okay, interesting.
It allows them to tap into water sources from a wider area.
So more adaptable,
Exactly.
which is especially helpful in those environments where water availability fluctuates.
Exactly. Evolution doesn't always favor a single best solution. Different strategies work well in different environments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And this is a perfect example of that.
I like it. So it's not about which structure is better,
Right.
but which one best suits the plant's needs and lifestyle.
Exactly. It's a beautiful illustration of how form and function are intertwined in nature.
I love that.
And this theme continues as we compare leaf structures.
Okay.
Recall those specialized mesophyll layers in dicot leaves,
Yeah.
perfectly arranged to maximize sunlight capture.
Right.
But monocot leaves have a more uniform mesophyll.
Right. And those bulliform cells in monocot leaves are amazing.
They are fascinating.
The leaf's own system for adjusting its shape to conserve water.
It's so ingenious.
It is.
Those bulliform cells are a great example of how structure relates to function. Dicots with their distinct palisade and spongy mesophyll.
Yeah.
They're optimized for efficient photosynthesis,
Right.
like high-performance solar panels.
I like that.
But monocot leaves, with their more uniform structure and adaptations like bulliform cells,
Yeah.
they're built for resilience in those challenging environments.
Once again, it's all about trade-offs.
Exactly.
Die-cut leaves might be more efficient at photosynthesis under ideal conditions.
Right.
But monocot leaves can handle those stressful situations, like drought or wind.
Absolutely. Each type of leaf structure has evolved to excel in its particular niche.
So cool. And this incredible diversity is what makes the plant world so fascinating.
I agree.
So glad we're exploring this together. It's giving me a whole new level of appreciation for the plants around me.
I love that. The chapter also mentions secondary growth,
Okay, secondary growth.
which seems to be a key feature for many dicots.
Right.
Can you shed some light on this process for us?
It sounded pretty complex.
It is complex, but also incredible.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Secondary growth is how plants increase their girth or thickness over time.
So it's how trees grow those massive trunks and sturdy branches.
Exactly. So it's not just about growing taller, but also getting wider and sturdier.
Right. And I remember learning about the vascular cambium and the cork cambium.
Yes.
these lateral meristems that drive secondary growth.
Important stuff.
Can you remind us what they are and how they contribute to this thickening process?
Of course. So lateral meristems are regions of actively dividing cells that contribute to a plant's growth and width.
Right.
The vascular cambium is like a thin layer of stem cells nestled between the xylem and phloem in vascular bundles.
Right.
And it produces new xylem cells towards the inside, forming wood, and new phloem cells towards the outside, adding to the bark.
So it's constantly adding layers to the plant's internal structure.
It is.
It's like a construction crew building upwards and outwards simultaneously.
A very efficient crew.
What about the cork cambium? What's its role?
The cork cambium is another type of lateral meristem,
Okay.
but it develops in the outer layers of the stem or root,
Okay.
and it produces cork cells,
Cork cell.
which form a tough protective layer called the periderm.
Okay, the periderm.
Yes, and this periderm replaces the epidermis as the outer covering of the plant.
So it essentially becomes the bark we see on trees.
Exactly.
So the bark of a tree is actually layers of cork cells produced by the cork cambium.
It is.
It's like the plant is constantly generating its own protective armor.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah. That bark protects the plant from mechanical injury pathogens and water loss.
All essential for their long-term survival.
Makes sense. Now, here's where that key distinction between monocots and dicots comes into play again.
Right.
Most dicots undergo secondary growth,
Exactly.
building that woody girth we associate with trees.
Yeah.
However, most monocots do not.
Right.
So no giant redwood trees in the monocot world.
Not generally. Monocots typically lack a vascular cambium,
Okay.
which means they don't produce that secondary xylem and phloem that form wood.
Got it.
They focus their growth primarily on height,
Okay.
driven by apical meristems at their tips.
Makes sense. Think of those tall, graceful bamboo stalks or swaying fields of grass.
Exactly. They achieve their stature without relying on that woody girth.
Right. It's another example of how different evolutionary strategies lead to such diverse forms and lifestyles in the plant world.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
It's truly remarkable how these seemingly small differences in anatomy can lead to such profound variations in growth and form.
It really is.
Understanding plant anatomy allows us to appreciate this incredible diversity
Yeah.
and to see the intricate connections between structure and function.
Absolutely.
It's like having a key to unlock the secrets of the plant kingdom.
I love that analogy.
Okay.
It makes me feel like we're on a grand adventure exploring this hidden world.
We are, and we're just getting started.
I know.
But for now, let's pause and let all this amazing information sink in.
Okay. Sounds good.
We've covered a lot of ground,
Okay.
from the microscopic details of root structure to the majestic growth of trees.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Before we move on, though, I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
We've seen how plant anatomy is so beautifully linked to function.
Right.
But what if we could reverse engineer this process?
Reverse engineer plant anatomy.
Yeah.
Now that's an intriguing thought.
Imagine if we could start with a desired function,
Okay.
like increased drought tolerance, improved nutrient uptake, or even resistance to specific diseases,
Right.
and then work backwards to design the ideal plant anatomy to achieve that goal.
That's a fascinating idea.
It's like applying the principles of biomimicry,
Yeah.
but at a cellular level.
Right.
Taking inspiration from nature's designs and adapting them to solve specific challenges.
I like it.
Exactly. By understanding those intricate connections between structure and function,
Yeah.
we could potentially engineer crops that are better suited to specific environments, more resistant to pests and diseases, or even capable of producing novel compounds with medicinal or industrial application.
That's incredible.
It's like opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
I love your enthusiasm, and it highlights an important point. Studying plant anatomy isn't just an academic exercise.
Right.
It has the potential to unlock incredible solutions for some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to think about how this knowledge could be used to make a positive impact on the world.
It really is.
Well, for now, let's take a short break
Okay.
and come back refreshed and ready to explore the final part of Chapter 6.
Sounds like a plan. I can't wait to delve into the next level of plant wonders with you.
All right, we are back
And ready for the final part of our deep dive.
into the anatomy of flowering plants. It's been quite the journey.
It really has. We've gone from those tiny cells to the towering canopies of forests.
Yeah, it's been mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I feel like we've earned an honorary botany degree now.
You've certainly been a stellar student. And as we wrap up our exploration of Chapter 6, I think it's important to zoom out a bit and consider the broader significance of what we've learned.
Yeah, I agree. It's easy to get caught up in all the details. But ultimately, this deep dive into plant structure has been about understanding life itself.
Precisely. You know, plants are the foundation of most terrestrial ecosystems.
Right.
They provide food, oxygen, shelter for countless organisms, including us.
It's true.
So by studying their anatomy, we gain a deeper understanding of those fundamental processes that sustain life on Earth.
Yeah, it's like we've been peeking behind the curtain of nature.
I love that.
Uncovering the secrets of how plants have evolved to thrive in so many different environments.
Exactly. And this knowledge isn't just for scientists.
Right. It's for everyone.
It's relevant to everyone.
Whether you're a gardener or a farmer or just someone who appreciates the beauty of nature.
Right.
Understanding plant anatomy just enriches your connection to the natural world.
Absolutely.
I was looking at the trees outside my window right now with a newfound appreciation.
I bet.
For their intricate inner workings.
It's like a whole secret world has been revealed.
It is. And as we face these challenges like climate change and food security, this understanding of plant anatomy becomes even more crucial.
Absolutely. We can look to nature's designs for inspiration. By studying how plants have adapted to all these diverse environments.
Yeah.
We can learn how to develop more resilient crops and sustainable agricultural practices.
Right. Plants have been masters of adaptation for millions of years.
They have?
They hold so much knowledge that we can tap into.
Yeah.
To create a more sustainable and food-secure future.
It's both humbling and empowering.
It is. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Chapter 6 of Anatomy of Flowering Plants.
No.
It's been a fascinating exploration.
It really has.
Of this intricate world of plants, from their tiniest cells to their grandest forms.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
Likewise.
And for our listeners out there, I encourage you to keep exploring.
Yes.
Whether it's through books, online resources, or just by observing the plants in your own backyard.
Right.
There's always more to discover.
I appreciate it. I couldn't agree more. And as you continue your own botanical adventures, just remember this: every leaf, every stem, every root.
It all tells a story.
It tells a story of adaptation, resilience, and the intricate beauty of life itself.
Well said.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep marveling at the wonders of the natural world.